there's really not going to be too much to talk about. I feel like um, just because a lot of the situations that are happening with the thieves right now are basically the same thing that we've been dealing with the last couple matches. So we might not have too long of a episode today, but either way, um, I just wanted to say thank you guys for everybody who's following me on Twitter and the growth that I've seen. I am now up to, I think, just under 850 followers, which is awesome. We had a awesome giveaway that we were able to do thanks to Josh, Double A, and the LA Thieves, I guess you could say, content team. They reached out to me about doing the giveaway. So if you entered, hopefully you were able to win. I wasn't given like a ton of codes, but I was given enough to where I was able to give away a few codes to different platforms, and I was really happy that I was able to do that. It's something that I definitely would have never expected to be able to do, especially coming straight from LA Thieves. But with that being said, I appreciate you all. We're very close to 1,000 followers on Twitter, so hopefully we can get there soon. Um, but yeah, for now, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. As you can see, I kind of updated the stream a little bit. We have a different graphic now than what we had before. If I remember, it was just literally just the camera. But I wanted to do something a little more like fitting, I guess, and have our own spin on everything. So that way, the podcast looks good for anybody who decides to watch, because I will be posting this on YouTube as well. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into talking about the matches. Um, Unfortunately, we had another week where the Thieves fall in back-to-back matches. We knew they had a tough schedule ahead of them, but we were hoping to, maybe at least get one. Um, Unfortunately, that did not pan out the way we hoped. They fall to both New York and Toronto Ultra. Both really good teams. I feel like you can't be too upset with the fact that we fell to both of those teams. 3-1 fashion, both matches, and funnily enough, it wasn't off of the Thieves winning a control both times. They had to win a search in one, and they won control in the other, which to me was kind of surprising. I feel like the Thieves with their invasion control has been pretty solid. So um, they really battle on that map. That's I feel like that's the closest thing to like a new version of a Don't Chalice on Gavutu type of map. I feel like they're this close to getting there. They're not quite there yet, but you know you can see the potential on those matches. So that that's something that I think as time goes on, they're going to keep working on it. I think they will become a team that will clutch up on that map, because I think that's the biggest problem for them when it comes to invasion in general. Is just like they play really good throughout the entire map, and then at the very end they just let something slip, um, which really is kind of the key to a lot of their matches in general. Um, so let's talk about the Ultra and the Thieves matchup. Like I said, it was a tough matchup for them. Ultra is a really solid team, and we really expected coming into this that the Thieves probably were going to fall. That they probably weren't going to take this one, uh, and really it was another series that was really close. They keep doing the same thing where they're super close. They're super close to winning a map, winning a series, and something just happens. Maybe it's they don't finish a kill. Maybe they get weak and they try to re-challenge too early. They hit a rotation too late. It's a mix of a lot of little things that have been compiling to cause them to lose these maps and or series. And I really believe that it's just a new team, new dynamic problem. I think as time goes on and they have more time to play alongside one another, that all of those things are going to improve. I've seen some people on Twitter saying that either we need to make some changes, or that we're not the team that people are saying that we could be. And I think it's a little too early to say that. I think that the roster has a lot of good skill compiled around it. They're all very young, and it's early into the season, with four guys who have never played alongside one another. So you got to give it some time for them to mesh, to build chem, and see where each role kind of fits in. Um, and I think that's kind of what they're working on right now. So I think, especially until we get to land, I don't think you can make a change before getting to land. We haven't even experienced land yet whatsoever. Um, and as I responded to somebody on Twitter, like, as funny as it sounds, the Thieves throughout history have been a LAN team. Like, online, they're not great. Um, even when you had the championship level LA Thieves team, their online qualifiers were not always the best. So to count these guys out on their first go, their first major where they haven't even made it to LAN yet, I think it's kind of tough to put all that pressure on them. Uh, yeah, Cryptic. What can we expect going up against two top four teams in one weekend? Exactly. Like, I mean, both of those teams are solid teams, um, and I think I think it's too early to make changes. Like you said, I think it's too early, and there really has been a lot of potential. Like I said, they battle back and forth between every team they play. Like, it really hasn't mattered the level. So they're battling against subliners, they're battling against Ultra, they battled against FaZe, and the unfortunate part is the stats or the end score doesn't reflect that. Losing 3-1 all the time, or 3-0, does not reflect how close each individual map was throughout the series. And I really think that they've been a hell of a lot closer than people are giving them credit for. So, sometimes it makes me wonder, like, how much people are watching the individual plays, like, during the matches, um, versus they kind of just throw it on and see what happens. And I think it's too early to make that decision, especially when you have as good of a coach of JCap and Shane. I think you can't move on yet. You got to see at least how the land goes, and then I think you can move on from there. But if we're gonna dive into this Ultra thing, I don't want to keep rambling here. So this Ultra Thieves map, or matchup, the Ultra, or Toronto Ultra, was 4-1, or they are 4-1 currently, whereas the Thieves are 1-5. Obviously not the best look for us. We'll get back to that. But here, we have the map set. We had triple invasion. That seems to be the map that the Thieves are best at. At least for the control, which, again, ironic that they lost it. But we'll check out this first invasion here for the hard point. 250, 150, not the best start. Not a good way to start. And that's something that the Thieves have not been good at so far this year, is hard point. I think they've won maybe one hard point. I think it has to be one hard point that they've won so far this year. Out of all of their series that they've played, only winning one hard point is definitely not going to win you matches. And having the entire team go negative in your first map up against this caliber of a team, just not great. Um, on this Cammy 12 and 21, Ghosty 13 and 21, you know, your ARs are just completely getting outslayed by Insight and Scrap. Scrap was doing everything, which, kind of expected. Scrap is Scrap is that guy. But like we've we've talked about it before with last year's team that when your ARs are not firing like they should be, it's going to make it even harder for your sub players, especially on a map like Invasion. And I know like with Invasion it's more often than not that everybody's running an AR just cuz the map is way too big, but like it's just going to make it harder on the guys who have to play faster like Joe Deceives and Afro because you're not opening up any space. You're not clearing out anything, allowing guys to um, to hit different flanks or hit cuts or whatever. So especially on a map like this where, like I said, it's so AR dominant, you kind of have to have your ARs go off, and they got outslayed, outkilled, however you want to put it. So first first map, not a great look, not a great look for the Thieves. Um, they often start off slow, so I definitely think that kind of hurts them in the long run. I mean, it definitely does, but they were able to fight back on the map two. Very back and forth, very back and forth on the invasion search, and actually they were down 5-4 before they were able to clutch up and take it to a round 11. But the round 11, Ghosty went absolutely huge. You thought Envoy had made it through. He put down a smoke, and Ghosty just used it to his advantage. He was able to pick up two. He dropped Envoy, and I don't remember who it was that was next to him, but that put them up on the live count. And then from there, they were able to close it out. The scary thing about that map in particular, though, was there were way too many situations where the Thieves were up. They were up in numbers, and I'm pretty sure just about every time it had to do with Insight finding a way to clutch up. He was able to clutch several times. Losing with an 11 and 5 stat line is kind of tough. But you know you can't allow, when you have numbers, you can't allow that to come back and bite you. So that's just one of those situations where you know they had numbers in several rounds. So realistically, this search could have been decided, probably like 6-3, maybe even 6-2. Like you could argue maybe 6-2. It should not have been that close. They let them get a couple clutches on them. That kind of led to the spiral where they just were able to take a couple rounds here and there that they definitely shouldn't have, keeping it close the whole way. Should have been a little more decisive, in my opinion. Um, but we'll take the search win, especially against this caliber of a team. That's always good. Um, then we go into the invasion control, where, as you can see, we lost 3-2. Again, another like pretty back and forth map. Um, it's one that, like I said, I really do feel like the Thieves are super 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 close to having this map be like their go-to for control. Like you don't want to play them on this control. They and again, it might sound ironic because how often we're losing series, uh, and that we're not always winning this map. But with everything with the Thieves right now, there's all these little things that have compiled up to make them lose in these maps. And especially the invasion, if they get that figured out, if they get that the way they want it, I think it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to beat these guys, because it's already really hard to beat them on this. Like that's why I feel like if you look at most of their control invasion stats, they are winning the series, or they're fighting the entire series 3-2. Like I don't think they have many where they lose like because they just get blown out on this map. So it really just takes like a small fix for a couple things, and I think they'll be a scary team on Invasion. But anyway, uh, Afro are watching that. Afro was going crazy towards the end, man. He was fighting to keep them alive. Um, that's for sure. And he was doing it with a sub too. You know, like I said before, AR map, he's doing this with a sub. So Afro, I've been liking the way he's been playing. We can talk about that in a little bit, but he was looking good on this map, and there were, I think, it was an offensive round for Ultra. I don't remember which one it was, but it was an offensive round for Ultra. I'm pretty sure they seriously only had like a couple of seconds left. The Thieves just had to keep them off the point, and if I remember correctly, somebody just missed a kill. They just missed it. Like I think it might have been Cammy. I think he just stopped shooting. He tried to transfer to somebody else too early, too soon, and it ended up getting him killed. They were able to get onto the A point, and then they were able to stack the A point, and that really hurt them. Um, I I also believe there was another situation where I think it was the very last round. I think the Thieves were able to do a similar thing where they were able to sneak in to the A point, like right towards the end. They had it stacked, and Afro did all this good stuff before, but then he was really weak and he rechowed out of the A point and got killed through a really small margin. But he got killed. That changed the pace of the tick super fast. Like dropped it a ton. Now Ghosty's by himself. You have Cammy, Joe Steves, and Afro all having to respawn, um, coming coming all the way from the other side of the map. Because if you watch the matches or if you play, Invasion is really big. It's a really big map, and there just wasn't enough time for them to get back. So again, just a little thing where it's like maybe he just needs to stay down and regen real quick, and then he can take another gunfight once that happens. But I think he just got a little too overzealous, and that kind of just pushed the whole thing over the edge. So very very unfortunate. Um, and then the last map was a hardpoint Karachi, which I'm trying to remember, but I don't think the Thieves have won a hardpoint Karachi. I mean, odds are probably not since they haven't won many hardpoints in general. But this map, it just it just kind of seemed like Ultra had everything that they wanted. Like I feel like the Thieves, they're really late to rotations on this map, which I feel like they are on some of the other maps as well. But I've noticed a lot with Karachi that it's like they, I either feel like they fight too long for scrap, or they're out of position to get the rotation point, um, as well, or to get the rotation positioning. And I believe it was Study who had mentioned that, or no, it was Nameless. Sorry, Nameless had mentioned that their kills look worse than what they could be because of their positioning more than anything. Like if they were in better positions, they're going to get more kills than what they are. And I think especially on this map, they're often not in the right positions, and that's why a team of the Toronto Ultra caliber was able to kind of just pick them apart and finish them off at 250 to 120. Um, so that was that series. Um, was really hoping that this control would kind of be their swing, like knowing they were able to win the search. If they all they have to do is win that control, and now they get another search, and maybe they win the series. Um, just as of right now, it really seems like they need to work on their hard point. I feel like that should be like their main focus, because you have two of them in a series. Their search is really not that bad, but you can't like control is a it's like a swing mode. It's kind of a toss up, like yes, you can be good at control, but there's so many like timings and things like that that could happen in a control map where you just end up losing because of something like that. And I think that's a little more out of your control. So I think being reliant on control is not great, and I feel like that's kind of where the thieves are. Not, and I'm not saying like they're they're consciously reliant on control, but just the way their series have been, it's like control is their game mode. Like I said, they battle every time, so they're they're thinking that control is what can keep us in a series, and I just don't think that's gonna be the best situation for them because it's the same thing with search. You have back to back modes where just like the littlest thing could change a complete outcome of the game, um, you know, and so they can't be reliant on this. I feel like, and right now that I feel like that's kind of where they're at. But yeah, that was the first matchup of the week. Like I said, we fall 3-1. Now we have another 3-1 loss to the New York Subliners. But as you can see here, Subliners 5-0. I mean, they're shooting. Skies himself said he thinks that they're at championship caliber, and there's still some things that they can work on. And I don't necessarily disagree with him. From what I've seen of the Subliners, they look pretty solid. Um, so like I said before, I really wasn't like expecting the Thieves to win this series. I wasn't expecting them to win the last series, but I thought, maybe after the break we could see some different things. Just knowing that there's some changes to the game, I believe, um, and maybe different teams are going to come out with different play styles. All that kind of stuff. There was a good time off, so that's what I was thinking. Uh, so the map one here, um, that is incorrect. It's saying Invasion. It was Skid Row. Um, map one, they played Skid Row, and at the start, it really didn't look good. It didn't look good for the Thieves. They were getting kind of beat up. At one point, it was 160 to 80, I think. Um, just they couldn't find a rhythm. They couldn't find a flow basically, and it just seems like New York was having their way. And then slowly but surely, the Thieves started to kind of crawl their way back in. Cammy actually had a pretty solid map for somebody who I feel like recently has kind of been, I would almost say, the scapegoat of the team. Everybody's been saying like, "Oh, Cammy's not performing to the standards that we need him to," and I think that might be true. But this series, he actually pretty solid. No complaints out of me on that. But yeah, they were able to slowly kind of make their way back in. And again, it's going to be a little difficult when you have Sib going 32 and 17. Like, dude was frying. Sib and Skies, they're doing their thing, man. Like it's hard to outgun those guys. So again, even more credit to Cammy for doing his thing against two solid ARs from this New York squad. But yeah, this one was one that it did not start off back and forth. Like it really was all subliners, and then the Thieves kind of just slowly worked their way back in. Um, Good thing to take away from that is, you know, the boys don't give up. Like they kept going, they kept fighting, and just they started off too slow. They weren't, it was going to be really really difficult to get back into the map, and that that proved itself just with how everything went. Um, Map 2, Skid Row again. Search and destroy this time. We fall 6-1. Really, same kind of thing with the hard point initially. Was the subliners were just kind of in their bag. They, the flow was all in their favor. Thieves really couldn't get much going. I think the Thieves won the first round, and then that was it. Uh, you know, solid search from Afro, which I feel like Afro's been pretty good at search overall. Like he's been solid. Afro's been a lot better than what I think people have expected him to be, but especially search. I've been impressed with the search maps. So that's good to see, even in a 6-1 loss, it's good to see that Afro's still doing his thing. You know, Ghosty was 1 kill away from dropping a donut. I was watching it and I seriously thought, no way we're gonna have another main AR drop a donut. No way. Luckily, he didn't. Something with Thieves ARs dropping donuts, but Ghosty was able to pull out 1 kill at the end. It came down to a 1v1, I believe, in the last round. I think it was Cammy. Yeah, Cammy, and he wasn't able to finish the kill. I believe it was Skies. Again, look at their stat line here. They're just outperforming, the whole way. Sib, great map. Skies, great map. Kismet, great map. Hydra, but still positive. Really didn't do much damage though, so he must have just been picking up the scraps. Um, but yeah, just not a great search out of the Thieves on that one. But I've never really seen them play Skid Row, so that might just not be their map. Hopefully that's the case, because it would be even worse if it was their map and they got beat up like that. But we move on to the invasion control, another invasion control here. Like I said, look at this. They're playing a high quality team, 5-0 team in the subliners, and they're able to pull out a control against them after kind of getting stomped in these first two maps. Um, Again, Afro was moving. Another map where Afro was doing his thing as a sub on an AR map. And that's the thing, like a lot of the times he has the sub out. He's running and gunning with the sub, and he's picking up kills, like finessing, doing whatever he needs to do. So, shout out Afro, man, for real. Joe Deceives, Ghosty, both 25 and 19. Pretty good damage. Sib, that's the first map he went negative. Same with Skies. I mean, proof is in the pudding, man. You slow down Sib and Skies, that helps you out a lot. But yeah, just another map. They, this time they won it 3-1, not 3-2. So that's nice. They were able to pull that one away a little earlier. But yeah, slow map from Sib, Skies, and Kismet. Hydra was doing his thing though, 23 and 20. That's pretty solid. Yeah, not too much going on there. We got to win, which is nice. And then the map 4 here, another Karachi hardpoint. Like I said before, it really just seems like this is not our map. I feel like we're always like a step behind. From everything that I've seen, it just a lot of times it seems like they're playing too long for scrap time, or they're just kind of out of rotation, or whatever that might be. But just not good when your whole team is going negative. Really, really hard to win that way. But 250, 214. I think, if I remember correctly, towards the start they kind of battled a little bit, and then it kind of just got out of hand. I think they got beat on a rotation, and then things kind of fell into New York's lap, and they got back into that flow again, making it really difficult for the Thieves to break back in. And I think, again, if we're just talking about their hardpoint game in general, I feel like last year and the year before, one of the reasons they were really good, why the Thieves were really good, was because they were able to break. And that worked for them because they didn't have to rotate super early every single hill. They were able to just kind of say, okay, we're gonna play for a little bit more scrap time here, and then we have good enough breaks to be able to break this money hill. Or they know which ones are the money hills to say, okay, we gotta This one we do have to rotate early on, but then the next one we can kind of chill out, you know. Um, they can't do that this year. Like so far, they are not able to break hard points like the Thieves have been in the past, and that makes me wonder like how much of that is coaching style. Like if Cap and Shane are prioritizing the breaking of a hard point rather than um, early rotations and trying to hold. I think obviously it depends on your skill level and things like that. I think if they can get down the breaking hills, I think the way that they're playing right now would be fine. But they're not breaking hills and they're super late to the rotations. Um, I feel like part of the reason their numbers on the hardpoint maps are so high um, is because they get a lot of scrap time. And I would love to see them hit a couple rotations a little early and just see how that goes. Because I think I want to say the stat was they're 1-8 in hardpoint maps, and that is not good. That's not good. You can't you can't win series like that. So they have the gunny to do it. They have the gun skill. They have the talent. The talent is there. All that stuff is there. They just got some things that they got to figure out. And like I said, we've said it. It's a broken record, man. But like there were a couple situations I want to say in both of these Karachi hardpoints where literally it was like, man, if I think the one it was like Joe Deceives, he had a like a flank on somebody. I can't remember who it was, but he literally just needed one more shot. He just needed to land one more shot, and that hill is completely different because of it. Um, but instead, he's not able to finish off the kill. They get decent positioning. They're able to kind of set up, and Thieves end up losing that hill, that rotation, and that kind of like pushed him over the edge. So just little things like that, man. Once they get that figured out and they find their flow, they find their rhythm. I I think they're going to be a really good team, and that's why I'm saying we kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt right now. We can't just jump on board saying, "Oh man, we're 1-5." Like, get rid of them, because like if we look at who we played, right? Let's go all the way down so we can look at who we played. We started off with Seattle, and Seattle, you know, Seattle's middle of the pack. We could have beat them. We should have beat them. But that was the first map or the first series that the Thieves had all year. Very first series as a team. Going to be a little difficult. But the whole time they battled, they really did. Then our next matchup was FaZe. I mean, they're a god squad. So like we battled the entire series. Just it doesn't reflect in the stats. Um, we were able to 3-0 Boston, which when you look at some of the things that Boston has done, I guess Boston is really like up in the air. I mean, LAG is pretty good though. I feel like I don't know. There's a lot of parity in the league, man. It's hard to tell, but we got 3-0'd by LAG. That one was I feel like that was like one of the days where like while I was watching I was kind of like, yeah, they don't really seem like super in it. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were dialed in and they just had a bad day or something. I don't know, but they didn't seem as put together. I feel like this was the series where they made some bigger mistakes or kind of like lazy mistakes, whereas like with the other series, it's been so close, but it's just been the little mistakes. Um, and then we had this weekend of Ultra and Subliners. So they had a tough road ahead of them, dude. Like really, you look at they played FaZe, Subliners, Ultra. Like that's gonna be hard to win out. and they, you know, these were the other three teams they played in Seattle, LAG, and Boston. Who did LAG play? They beat Boston. They lost to FaZe. They lost to New York. I'm just trying to see because, like, in comparison, how they've played less matches though, right? They're 2-3. Yeah, so they've played one less match than the Thieves have. But yeah, that anyway. Um, yeah, so that's why we're, you know, bottom of the barrel as of right now. Really unfortunate, but I have faith. Like I said, it's early. You know, things are going to fluctuate. I think there's a lot of parity. Um, and we had a rough schedule, a really rough schedule to start everything off. Um, but we'll be back. Do they have? This is for. This is their last match before qualifiers is Ravens. So that to me that's the one you gotta pull that one out. You gotta be able to win that one. The rest were all pretty tough. I think LAG should have been closer. They should have been able to battle on that one. And then this one goes into the next major. So that one we'll get to that one when we get there. But the LAN is coming up. It's coming up. It's around the corner. I will not be going. I wanted to, but I think I could, but I think with how cold it is and all that stuff, like I don't want to go, dude. Like there's so much winter stuff going on in the states right now. I don't want to go to Boston. I don't want to go to Boston. Maybe I'll see about trying to go to Miami. When is this one? March 21st through the 24th. We'll see. We'll see if I save up enough money for it. We might make that decision. But yeah, that that's kind of everything when it comes to the matches. If you guys have any questions, anything to talk about, I'm more than open to talking about whatever. If you guys got some opinions, some takes, I'm willing to hear them and talk about them. Keep this analysis up. Leaving a second. Okay, yeah, no worries, man. Appreciate you. Um, glad you were able to stop by for a little bit. Um, Need a major over here in Australia, dude. Honestly, a major in Australia would go crazy. That would be such a long flight, though. Such a long flight. How far can we go in losers bracket? I mean, it really depends on who we play. Like, um, if I look at who would be in losers, let me look at the standings here. Do they have like a bracket set up already? A possible bracket? No. But there's 2, 4, 6, 8 teams that start in losers bracket, or 4 teams. 2 more or 4 more teams get dropped down. It really just depends on who we get matched up against. I think because 8 and up is all winners bracket, right? So I think if like Boston, I think Boston and Seattle are 2 teams that we could beat. I mean, Boston, we proved we can beat them. Seattle, like again, we battled the whole time, and I don't think Seattle is the same tier as like Atlanta or New York or Toronto. And low key, I think it would be possible to beat Ultra, but I feel like the most likely that we would face would be Seattle or Boston or maybe LAG. But I think that the Thieves would be able to beat Seattle and Boston. I think LAG, based on how they played the first time, they would have to make a lot of adjustments because they did not look good, and maybe it was just the map pool was not in their favor. But whatever it is, they would have to kind of get that figured out. Um, but I think realistically they could probably realistically I'd say probably like round two. If I'm being a realist and not an optimist, if I'm being a realist, I think they make round two, and I think that's kind of as far as they go, just because the other teams are so good right now. Um, I think if we're lucky, I would say round 3 to 4. But realist wise, I think round two. I think they can beat somebody in round one and move on. But I just think after that, there's too many good teams right now, um, that it would be hard to say. Um, I mean, I also don't know how we're gonna look on land. I think that'll kind of change things a little bit too. But I think if they show up and they're performing way better on land than we would ever thought, we could see another historic LA Thieves loser run. Like, we seem to be good at that. So who knows? I mean, like I said earlier, historically LAT is a good land team. They also happen to be a good elimination team. And that's just the way it is. So we'll see. But I would say realistically probably round two exit. That's my guess. Really doesn't make sense the whole Boston win. They beat Ultra, but it does go to show that teams do have off days, and we just need to find that off day for a top 14. Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too with the tournament is you could face a team that's considered top four, top five, um, and if they're just having an off day, maybe you bring it and you just because at this point the Thieves have nothing to lose. So I think that is the upside about going into a tournament in the losers bracket, starting in the losers bracket is if you go up against top four, top five team that just happen to lose to another top four, top five team, um, maybe you have that edge on them because you started in the elimination bracket. You know, it's a possibility, uh, but you never know. You never know. I'm very interested to see how the land goes, though. I think after LAN, I think that's when you can kind of make some more decisions on if it's time to maybe look in different directions for different players and things like that. But realistically, I think it's going to take more than just the LAN. I think they should wait until maybe at least like halfway through the next major before they make like a decision on if they want to change somebody or not. I think it's too early to do that right now. This is why the CDL is good to watch. Anything can happen. Yeah, yeah. It's like I said. There's a lot of parity. There's a lot of teams that can do anything really. So there's always something that can happen, and it's exciting. Um, I'll be honest. I have not been watching as much of like the CDL overall as I probably should be. I've mostly been focusing on the Thieves, and their matches. So I'm a little out of touch on some of the other stuff. I do need to pay a little more attention to that. Um, but you're completely right. What other option are there for the rosters or for a roster spot? Who do you think would be replaced? Uh, that's a thing. Like right now, to me, as of right now, from what I've seen from the Thieves, you can't get rid of Ghosty, and you can't get rid of Afro. Um, and I feel like you shouldn't get rid of Joe Deceives. Like or I guess you could kind of flip that. I think to me, I guess to put it straightforward, I think Cammy would be the most likely to be replaced. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think it's the most likely thing to happen if they were to make a change, unless there's something like internally that we're not hearing about or that we don't know about. So that's who I think would be replaced. Who do I think would be the one replacing him? That I have no idea. Um, I don't know anybody like when it comes to like the challenger scene or anything like that. Um, and I mean this year there kind of isn't a challenger scene. It seems like, at least from what I've heard from updates and things like that. But if it comes down to like players get dropped or traded or whatever, like I really don't know, man. There's a lot of like pro slash ex pro players who are no longer in the league that maybe could fill a spot. Um, it's hard to say though because I feel like a lot of, maybe not a lot, but like some of the people that I think about, um, that would be good, just good players in general to pick up on a pro team are sub players. And if we drop Cammy, we're gonna need another AR. Um, so I don't really know who that would be, but I think it's a little too early, to be fully out on Cammy. I think Cammy, the last map or the last series had a really solid series. I think you can't just base it on this early. It's too early for it. Wonder how good Josh is at COD. I haven't seen Josh play COD at all. Actually, I've all I've seen him do when it comes to COD is play with the steering wheel. I've seen him drive, singing his tunes with the steering wheel. That's it. I don't even think I've seen him get a kill with a gun while he's using the steering wheel. But you know, you never know. Maybe you put a controller in his hand and he's a different beast. But I have not seen it yet. I haven't seen it. I've played with Double A though. I've played with Double A, so I do know, kind of where he's at. Um, which I would say Double A is probably better than me. I, I'm pretty sure he said he does like challenge, or he's done challenger stuff, or he's like coached a challengers team or something like that. So I'm sure he's above where I'm at. He's above my pay grade. I'll tell you that. But Josh, I can't speak on. Who knows? Maybe he did 1v1 Joe Deceives and somebody else, I think, but he got slammed. Well, the crazy part is I played with Double A like purely randomly. Um, I I was just playing ranked with my brother on MW2, and I saw his name, and like in game I think his name was like LAT double A or Hunter T double A, one of the two. And my brother mentioned it because he said he had played like against him or with him like earlier, and I was just like, wait a minute, like that's an actual like Hunter Thieves member's name. Like I know that because I saw him on Twitter or I followed him on Twitter. And so in game, I went on the mic and I was just like, "Hey, Double A, like, do you actually work for Hundred Thieves?" And he got back on the mic back and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm the producer for LA Thieves." And I was like, "Oh, no shit. Like that's crazy." And then I realized that I followed him and he may or may not have followed me on Twitter at that point. We only played a couple games. We haven't played since. He's a busy guy, whereas I'm not as busy. So we haven't played since, but maybe once ranked comes out, I'll try and play with him a little bit, see how that goes. Um, but yeah, it was really funny how that worked out actually. Maybe I can play with Josh, get a squad, and now we can see how Josh does. I don't know, maybe. Um, but yeah, I think I think that's mostly about it for this week. Can't wait for ranked. Don't have any random lobbies with pros. I guess yeah. I didn't even think about that. Um, Possibly get on the same server as you. And we can try to grind ranked. Yeah, man. Yeah, trust me, I'm hoping for the internship where that'll be super cool if that works out. I don't know if and or when they're doing it. I was told that they will be doing internships again. Uh, I just don't know when, and I don't know what for. So we'll see. But hopefully, hopefully we get there. I would love for that to happen. So, um, honestly, with everybody's support, I think it helps me get closer and closer to that goal. So, just another reason to say thank you to everybody who follows this account, follows the Twitter, tunes into the live streams, and who might potentially follow the YouTube channel. I'm also gonna try and take maybe some clips from the podcasts and post it on like TikTok and Twitter as well, so that way more people can find it and it's a little easier to see or a little easier to find. So be on the lookout for all that stuff. Um, but yeah, um, I think that's going to be it for this week. Really, not much else to talk about. Like I said, a lot of stuff is kind of repetitive as of right now with everything. Um, I'm thinking if I'm able to, there's some stuff that I'm going to try and cook up like probably after this major is over. I'm you know next match I'm gonna do another live stream. We're gonna talk about it. Um, but let me know like what it is that you guys want to see, what you guys want to hear when it comes to the analysis and things like that. What to talk about in the podcasts. Uh, Maybe I can try and interview people, from the LA Thieves camp, whether it be Double A, Josh, um, maybe a coach, manager. If we're lucky, maybe some players. I could always, try and work my magic. But if there's anything like that that you guys would want to see, um, I would be more than willing to try and get something like that figured out and maybe get some behind the scenes stuff that we can talk about and have on this channel. So, um, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I will see you guys next week after the next match against the Carolina Royal Ravens now. So hope everybody has a good week. Hopefully we get a Thieves win and we can talk about some positive things on the Thieves side of things. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today. Appreciate you all. See you guys next week. Peace.